would you be able to just very briefly introduce yourselves and explain where in the world you are right now?
My name is Hagab Nansigyan. I'm the CEO of the HAS. It's a family business, third generation. We run security automation and all kinds of technologies. I'm currently in my office in Calais in Beirut. I'm also a president of Rotary Club. We deal a lot with supporting NGOs, part of the foundation that we're in. We have been working a lot before the explosion and even before the COVID in supplying food resources to needy areas in Lebanon, all around Lebanon. That was our pilot project, our main project. We also have a project for education where today there's a big problem with the educational system in Lebanon because of the finances. So we're trying to work on fundraising and stuff like that. This was before the explosion. The explosion clearly changed little bit our directions. We've stopped working outside Beirut. Now we're focusing on all our help in coordinating with NGOs, seeing what they need and so on within the devastated areas.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Hosri. I'm CEO of Sacotel. Sacotel is a branch of our family group, and we are specialized in telecommunications, security, automation, and renewable energy. So I look after this company on a daily basis. I am currently next to one of our premises, 300 meters away from the blast. So I will just turn my computer and try to show you where it is. That is ground zero, and I chose to be here just to feel more while talking and expressing myself about all the anger and all what's happened.
Hi, my name is Faris Abinader. I'm a family business consultant, family office consultant, and I'm currently in Lebanon.
So the first point that we're going to touch on is contextualizing this disaster. And so what are the contributing factors, in your opinions, that have led to the current protests and the current unrest, which has kind of come out as a result of the explosion? But what's the background to that, in your opinions?
The situation right now is the build-up that was coming before the entire situation. Let's say if we go back to October 2019, where protests started, we had a very dysfunctional economical system, and I think the world has heard enough about the corruption in the systems in Lebanon and the lack of public services, no public transportation, well, very bad ones, very bad education system, very bad hospitals. The hospitals are very bad shape. So I think the population was almost at 50% below poverty line. That was before October. Then there was some unrest, and people wanted to change in the political system. And all the way until we were hit by COVID. Around January, I can confirm that more than 50% of the population is beyond poverty line. Many jobs were lost because of the unrest, and then you add on it the COVID, which led to a full stop of the economical system. Reality is that the banks started implementing some sort of capital control, so funds couldn't go. Funds couldn't go out, so actually it froze the full economy. That's the official thing that they say, even though officially the banks are not supposed to be doing capital control. They implemented it themselves to try to maintain a bit the liquidities they had in hand. The Lebanese currency has been extremely devaluated. It used to be 1,500 Lebanese pounds per dollar. Today, on the black market, it's around 8,000-9,000 or something. So this brings a lot of questions regarding the purchasing power of the people based on their salaries. It's a virtuous cycle with the food. We have also, this is the economical system. Let's say this is the economical situation before the COVID, and then the explosion. So this gives us a bit of an image of where we stand today as a country and the people in this country. I don't know if Ricardo or Faris would like to add something on this.
If I may, you said it all, Agop, but if I may only stress on few figures, we have 1,700,000 people, that was until a few weeks ago, that are below poverty line. And in Lebanon, that is a huge number when our population is 4 million people. And 20% of these are below $4 per day. Therefore, they cannot afford to bring food home to eat themselves, nevertheless to feed their families. So yeah, it is a pile up, definitely. I would like also to contextualize. Lebanon is 7,000 years of continuous civilization. We are one of the oldest countries in the world with continuous civilization. It is known that Beirut has been destroyed 7 times by natural disasters over the years and rebuilt. And this is why we earned our name, the Phoenix. This is the 8th complete destruction of Beirut. However, this time it is a man-made destruction. It is not a natural disaster. It is not an earthquake. It is a man-made earthquake. And like you just saw, 300 meters from where I am, there was something equivalent to a nuclear bomb stored in the middle of the city. Another thing is that today, we may be counting, and we will cover these later on in this webinar, we may be counting material losses, but just also to mention the heritage. Beirut port is the biggest port of the Middle East, used to be the biggest port of the Middle East. Lebanese, from our ancestors, the Phoenicians, they are traders and seamen, and this port used to serve the Gulf, so all the Gulf countries which are behind us, the West and the East. So this is why we call Lebanon a bridge between the West and the East. And this exact port used to transit all these merchandise. And today it is, of course, just rubble, tons and tons of rubble. So there is the heritage part, there's the cultural part that we will eventually cover throughout our talk today, that I would like to stress on beyond the financial losses and direct losses.
And Faris, do you have anything to add to that about the context?
No, I think they said everything. I have nothing to add.
Okay. Well, how about whether you think, starting with you, Faris, whether you think that is it a case of enough is enough, and will this be a turning point? What kind of turning point will this be?
Yes, this tragedy took the life of more than 170 people, with more than 6,000 people who got injured. And I believe that we all got friends who lost their lives or lost their jobs, lost their houses, because of all of this, because of irresponsible people. So it's time for us to say enough is enough. And I'm a bit emotional because I believe that we are all emotional. Yesterday, there was the Lebanese people all around Lebanon from all religion who were shouting enough misleading, enough corruption, enough blood, enough with all the current political parties combined, no exceptions. There's a hate that has been created between the Lebanese people and the governors and all the parties, the political parties. They are shouting "Killon yani killon." Everyone means everyone. So we are really disgust of everything that's going on and everything that's happening, and we all want change. But I believe there's hope. There's hope when you see people helping each other on the streets. There's lots of volunteers, and Ricardo can mention that, and I got lots of volunteers on the streets that are helping each other. And this is actually, this gives us a bit of hope in what's going on. This explosion is a turning point in Lebanon history because from one hand, people are now more than ever united and devoted to change. And from the other hand, we think that the international entity broke their embargo on Lebanon. There's no more boycott on Lebanon. And I think that Lebanon still have friends around the world.
I need to add something, if I may just to clarify one thing, that the international community usually thinks that Lebanon is getting a lot of help because there is help that is coming here. was before the COVID and before that time, through the Red Cross and so on, that those were going actually to the refugees. The refugees that are in Lebanon were receiving support, but the Lebanese themselves, because they're not considered as refugees, were not being really helped. So I think maybe this could also be a changing point right now, that effectively now the Lebanese, I mean, if we're going to get help, it's going to get for the Lebanese, not for the refugees that are in Lebanon. Because right now it's the Lebanese that are literally bleeding.
There is a momentum, a real momentum to help Lebanon today. And this is an opportunity for us, actually.
I have a shout. Go ahead, Mohammed.
No, sorry. But like, you know, since 2006, Lebanon has passed through a lot of catastrophe, let's say. So do you think this one, it will be a turning point, or to be just like?
This one was something that the impact, first of all, when we're looking at the numbers, the casualties, the displaced, 300,000 people have been displaced right now because they lost their houses. They can't, even if they would go back to their houses, they have no windows, they have no doors, and they can't cook. Ricardo is in his office right now, but could he sleep in his office? He can't. So the impact of this event goes beyond any other event that we've been through. That's a fact, and the numbers clearly show that.
I want to stress that we've had, prior to 2016, we went through 15 years of war, and the destruction that took place during the 15 years of war are not comparable to the destruction that took place in a few minutes blast. The 2006 invasion of Lebanon, of course, destructed huge infrastructure in Lebanon, but over 15 days. The attacks were over 15 days. I think that destruction-wise, money-wise, this blast has exceeded the 2006. Of course, we do not have accurate figures yet. So enough is enough. Yes, absolutely, enough is enough. We are we are known to be a resilient population. We are known to be builders. We are known to be people who like life and who like to live. But there are limits to everything. Today, what we are witnessing in our country, prior to the blast already, since 10 months we are in a revolution mode in Lebanon, but the blast was the cherry on the cake. We are held hostages in our own country, literally held hostages. And today, thanks to friends like you who are sensitive to Lebanon, who are sentimental and know some Lebanese and know Lebanon themselves, we have some fresh air. We are getting some oxygen, some hope, someone to talk to, someone reasonable who listens to us and who's asking us. Because today the Lebanese population is left to itself. We are in a failed system. What happened here and what has been happening, what led us here, is a build-up of a 50-year compilation of irresponsible, successful governments. So when Faris says, and Agop say that today people are claiming Killon, yani Killon, everyone means everyone, we want everyone, because we really don't care about the persons. It is not about names. It's not about Ricardo Hostri, Agop Dantignan, or Faris Abinadeh. It is about the system. The system doesn't work. The system has to change. If we bring the most goodwill person on earth, Gandhi, I can think of Gandhi, who was very peaceful and good, and we tell him, please take Lebanon and rule it, he will fail because the system is a fail and the system needs to change. I think the enough is enough, definitely, but this is a turning point in Lebanon's future. And today, this is a proof to the world and a proof to most of the stupid Lebanese who have been doing their bad choices over the years that it doesn't work, and that the people you are choosing are not working for you. We are all hostages in our country. We cannot afford to run away. Kate, the conferences that we used to attend, that you used to organize, today to attend a similar conference, I personally, a businessman with a lot of money in the bank, cannot afford this because my credit card allows me $100 per month POS abroad. So I cannot even afford paying my hotel. I cannot even afford paying my food. Imagine the multiplier effect. So we are not allowed to do the business that we know how to do. We are, I would say, forced to stay on the rubles, to count our debt, and to just to turn the page and say, okay, yes, we are resilient people. No, we are not. We are definitely resilient, but we need to change. And I believe that this, what happened a week ago, is there is no more reason or additional or more important reason for this change to happen. So I am positive for the future. It will take time, but we know we have capabilities. We have a human capital which is incredible, known traditionally, and we have lots of friends. You reached out. You are one of the million friends of Lebanon, and you are. Thank you for what you're doing. You are reaching out to see how and what and how you can help. So I think with the community like this, with our human networks and with our love and diversity, we will make it. It will be difficult, but we will make it.
And
Well,
just allow me, sorry, Kate, just allow me to say a small story that shows to which extent the government is failing in its duties. Not talking about all the responsibility that goes on a government to make sure that its citizens are safe and not putting explosive products in the middle of Beirut like that, and failing to responding to the safety requests that those stuff should be moved. A team of French firefighters from Limoges arrived to Beirut. They spent a night at the airport because there was nobody to go there and take them and guide them to the site. This is to which extent the government is, I think, there is, I don't know, it's like bad governance, should we call it? I don't know. And Macron,
no governance.
Yeah, no governance, actually. Macron, the French president, stated it very clearly that the donations would go to NGOs or not to the government if the government doesn't put itself in the right foot. Because why would they just throw out resources knowing that those resources are not going to go to the right place? I mean, firefighters coming on the airplane, landing in Beirut and staying at the airport because no one went there to pick them up and say thank you for coming to help us. This is just a small fact from the ground to know what's happening here.
It does actually lead on to my next point, which is about international relations. So, who are Lebanon's friends internationally now, and how could they work perhaps with family offices to bypass the government perhaps in order to provide the help that's needed, not just in recovering from this disaster, but also in moving forward and rebuilding afterwards?
Yeah, I truly believe that well, the friends of Lebanon are many countries. I mean, we've received help from Britain, from Cyprus, Czech Republic, Egypt, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iran, Iraq, Italy, Kuwait, thank you very much, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Qatar, Russia, Tunisia, Turkey, the European Union by itself. They have a satellite system that they've activated it to help us assess the damages. So right now we're in an assessment phase. Right now we're trying to understand exactly what has happened and what's the impact, what's the cost. We also are looking forward as Lebanese for a transparency from the government to do a proper study of what ignited this explosive product. I mean, an explosive product that has been sitting there for 6 years suddenly got ignited. What did it? You know, there's also this question that needs to be understood first: the accountability, and why was it stored there, and what caused it. And as I mentioned, there are many countries that are willing to help, but the problem is how to make sure that the help goes to the right place, not to the pocket of the people. And this is something that Ricardo and Faris maybe pitch in as well on this one.
Ricardo, what are your thoughts?
I would like to stress that the Lebanese population is 4 million in Lebanon, but we have more Lebanese outside Lebanon than we have in Lebanon. We have 18 million Lebanese outside Lebanon, or Lebanese origin outside Lebanon. We are a country that has always traveled and settled on the 5 continents. So this community, which we call the Lebanese diaspora, has been settled in their countries for some of them over 5 generations. And they still have feelings for Lebanon. They still live the culture of Lebanon within their communities. Many of them still speak the language, taught from father to children or from parents to children. So there is this sensitivity, and this is one of the strengths of the Lebanese in doing business in general, because wherever you go, you are sure to find some Lebanese established in that country or in that city for a few generations, and usually we help each other, which is something natural. So this is something that is of extreme importance, and these people group immediately, if not to exaggerate, the second day of the blast, but I think some of them started even the same day of the blast, grouped and started looking for solutions to collect funds, to aid and to send, starting by their families and then to NGOs and organizations working on the ground to get out of this disaster or limit the damages. So these are a major asset that we have. Besides that, the countries, Lebanon is a very friendly country, and internationally we have been known for our openness to the world, because we are mixed. Religious-wise, we are the mixiest country in the world. We have 18 confessions in this tiny little country. So religion-wise, we are open and we are friends with everyone. Culture-wise, we say we are a bridge between the East and the West, because we are Arabs, definitely. We speak Arabic, and but our lifestyle is more of a Western lifestyle compared to other Arab countries. And we are keen on education. There's not one Lebanese family who hasn't had at least one person in their family go study abroad. So this exchange of cultures makes Lebanon very rich in its international relations. Our sufferance today is not from the people of Lebanon, is from the government of Lebanon. The government of Lebanon is boycotted internationally until last week. Last week, all the world opened up again for us to help us humanitarianly, because they are thinking with their hearts from a humanitarian level, but not from a political level. Politically, we have been under a, I would say, blockade, international blockade for the past 10 months. So the two factors put together, and the love, because I am sure there is a lot of love towards the Lebanese people, and there is some ideological blockades with the government, the current one, or maybe the previous ones, or whoever is, are doing things more difficult for the help to reach. So what we suggest, what Agop, Faris, myself, and many other friends and associations are doing, we are trying to figure ways to bypass the system, because the system is a failed system. The system is an untrusted system, be it the political group, be it the banking sector, which proved also to be a bunch of crooks lately, excuse my term, lately. So we are trying to figure out through trusted networks and trusted associations and NGOs who are very active in Lebanon, ways to bypass the system, so that these donations or anything that is coming towards the country goes really to serve the people of the country and not go in the pocket of our corrupt leadership. So this is a huge challenge, because of course you understand that the world has criteria, and maybe Faris can elaborate. He's the expert on that, due diligence and how money is spent and where it goes and the money laundering issues, etc. So it is very critical because usually governments deal with governments and they have their agreements. But if they want to deal with one association, whatever, it didn't go through all the due diligence and it is not proven that the money will not go somewhere where it shouldn't go. So this is something that I think with our talking about that and communicating about that, we need to figure out some organisms that are trustworthy, that are trusted, that are controlled by people, by business people, and that make sure that that have track record, that we make sure the help goes to the people. One last point before I give to Faris. Sorry, I speak a lot, but I'm very
no worries.
My last point is that what we are looking for, Kate, is a win-win-win situation. Of course, every help is appreciated, and we are in a disastrous situation, and we cannot do it by ourselves. But what we are proposing as business people, as people who know how to do things, we are trying to propose win-win-win situations, whereas we are seeking to be outsourced work from international Lebanese sensitive businesses or persons. They will be delivered good quality work because we know how to work well and we know how to deliver well at a very reasonable price, because today, as Agop mentioned before, our Lebanese pound is 8 times cheaper than what it used to be 10 months ago. So we are peanuts for the cost of labor, etc., to the international community. And also it will be serving the Lebanese population because it will be getting fresh money, what we lack in Lebanon. We do not have access to our money. We do not have access to fresh, what we call fresh is foreign exchange money in order to continue our rebuilding our country first and continue living second. So what we're looking for is to channel all these through funds. We have many ideas through funds, through entities or bodies or networks or business people groups that can create a multiplier effect. The end user, the customer, the foreign customer will receive a top quality product. The Lebanese company will be sure to remain functional and going and survive this difficult at least 5 years down the line. And the employees remain in their jobs because we have also 550,000 job losses since January until June 2020. And this is half of the working population in Lebanon in the private sector. The private sector employs between 800,000 and 1 million people. We have already 550,000 job losses from the private sector in Lebanon. So this will be a win-win-win situation.
Thank you.
I just want to mention, I just want to mention that the French president haven't traveled for three months, and the first trip he made was to Lebanon, and he came to Lebanon, and he went to and mingled with the people, and at one of the questions that were asked to the president was, why aren't you helping directly the people, or why doesn't France help directly people? And his response was, unfortunately, there's a protocol. I cannot bypass the current government. You will have to change the government for me to sit down with a new government that you will choose, but I cannot bypass the system. And this is actually what Ricardo was mentioning before. Not to mention also that Trump, during 3 nights in a row, he mentioned Lebanon in his speech, saying that he wants to help Lebanon. So this was not the case before. And this is actually a new opportunity for us that we need to grab, which is important.
Do you think that relocating in protest would be a move that might have impact? Is that something that you would consider, or do you think it's important to stay put?
Historically, Ricardo said it earlier, we're Phoenicians. Well, we are a mix of different civilizations who want to live together. I'm personally from Armenian origin, Ricardo is more Phoenician and so on. But we've been here, we grew up against challenges. We grew up against political instability. We grew up in a place that has been the platform for all the international troubles that are happening between North and East and South and West. And we've been resilient. We're sticking to Lebanon, and we're going to rebuild Lebanon, and we're gonna make this a beautiful country where our children can live, you know, live peacefully with good education, with good hospitals, with good everything from the public side. So we have to build this country. If we leave, who's gonna build it? So I don't think, I mean, personally, our family office, we might have remote, let's say, projects or offices and work in other countries and so on. But our heart in all the meanings of it is in Lebanon, and it will stay in Lebanon. I mean, this is for me. I don't know. I'm sure Ricardo and Faris are on the same level.
Yeah, it's a powerful statement.
I'm definitely not leaving. I'm definitely not relocating. I'm sure that Agop and Faris, I know them, they're my friends. I know how they think and how they feel. We are going to pick up our rubbles with our bare hands, and we are going to make this change with our own will, with our own efforts, and we are going to deliver a country to our next generation that is a country where that will be the country of choice for the world. They will want to come and live in Lebanon, because during all these past, I would say, 40 years now of continuous crisis, if we count the war and the other problems that we've had in Lebanon, we still maintained a lifestyle that is enviable by the world. And this is why you and many people come spend their vacations here. You don't know what's happening in the backyard. Probably there is war in some neighborhood in the backyard, but we are people who love life, and we will live and we will do it. Just to give you an example, where I'm sitting now, the street is named after my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather came in the year 1900, 1900. He came back to Lebanon from Istanbul after doing his medical doctorate specialization, and he's one among the first 6 doctors in Lebanon who studied together and came specialized. His clinic is just in rubble over where I'm sitting. His house is 5 meters away from me in this direction. He came back to by choice, and he came back and built over generations the family, part of the family that we are today. He could have stayed in Istanbul where he studied and probably succeeded more, because there is more need for medical services. My other great-grandfather from my mother's side in 1886 started a school for girls, where girls were not considered in our Arab culture. He started a school for girls to start. Today, this school is known as the Sabbath Network. It is more than 70 schools around the world, and several of them in the Gulf, in the Gulf countries. So, and he had to change his religion to align to the Protestant missions, and he became a Protestant pastor in order to start a dream of education. So a population like this with such strong will and attachment for their land, for their soil, for their values, for our education, for our healthcare system, which is one of the best in the world. For our business known, there is a saying that everything is made in China and sold by a Lebanese. Or wherever you go, you find an Irish pub and a Lebanese trader. So we know how to do things. It's only the system that we have to get rid of. So no, we will not relocate. We will find alternatives, definitely, to be able to operate, because the country is not a good platform to do business. We will have to seek branch offices around, but I am sure that the resilience of the Lebanese, starting with me, will strategically decide to have the headquarters in Lebanon in order to give back or to help what we in any way we can help, because just as a closure, we consider, and many have considered and stated, that Lebanon is a mission. Lebanon is a mission to the world. So, of course, being Lebanese, we have to be contributors to this mission. We do not stop at the first hit, and this is not our first blast. It might be the biggest one we've known, but in one day, but it is not our first. And we will, if you look, Kate, at the street around me and all over Beirut, for the past week, we've had kids from age 15 to whatever, all those able and able to walk with brooms, cleaning the streets and the houses of people who don't know. My two children, my two daughters, started going up in buildings, going into apartments, fixing whatever is fixable and cleaning the rubbish from the houses of people they don't know. So this solidarity movement is huge, and this population will make it through with the strong will of I would say the more privileged, trying to create jobs, maintain jobs, trying to keep businesses in Lebanon, keep the family traditions, expand, explore, and make it through.
And these kind of roots and this kind of mission and connection is something that I think makes family offices particularly unique, and also is a great strength as well to the places that they are based. So yeah, I can completely understand that.
If you remember in the last summit that you organized, we were already in, I suppose it was in November, Mohammed can confirm, past November, we were already in the crisis, economical crisis in Lebanon. And I pitched for Lebanon, asking the family offices present there and the attendants that if the Lebanese people succeed with what they are demanding, therefore changing the system, we will have the best opportunity for investment. Lebanon will be the best opportunity for investment for everyone, because the Lebanese know how to work, they know how to do things. We have all the capabilities, and if we have governance in our system, good governance, transparency, a trusted country government wise, it is the ideal place to invest your money, because you are investing in something that is starting from scratch, and you know the multiplier effect when you have zero, and then your investment, you have a huge return on investment. So people can be trusted. Businesses, local businesses can be trusted. Family businesses in Lebanon, of course, they can be trusted because they are built on the value system that the family businesses all over the world believe in and live by. So yes, they can be started. All it takes for family offices is to, and as I had said in past November, reach out for your nearest Lebanese friend, and he will introduce you to a Lebanese corporate or sector industry that interests you, and invest there, because this is a safe and long-term investment. We will make it through. Family offices have a lot of opportunities here, and once again, we are not looking for donations. We want a win-win-win situation. We want these family offices who choose their partners in Lebanon to make money on their investment. We want the Lebanese party to make money and grow in this investment, and of course, the Lebanese country, Lebanon as a country, will be benefiting from this cycle. So we'll be creating a triple multiplier effect.
Ricardo, I just want to thank you for all your speech, Ricardo. I just want to promise you something now. As soon as inshallah the situation will get better, I will do a summit for family offices just to talk about Lebanon and Beirut.
Habibi Mohammed,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Mohammed.
I just gonna add a small thing to what Ricardo was saying. When we're talking about Lebanon as an investment, Lebanon is, if we're gonna think of it as a business, Lebanon is, let's say it's a business. The customers are the Lebanese that are in Lebanon, but it's also the entire expat community, which is very well established and has a very big heart and a very big love for Lebanon. So this is if we're going to think of Lebanon as a business. The problem is we have a very bad management, extremely bad board, and as Faris was saying, there is strictly no governance. So this is what's making us reach wherever we are. I think now there's something else in Lebanon that's going on, which is a new way of doing things, which is it's like the NGOs and trying to reach them and understand them, try to create some sort of common platform for everyone. And this is something we have been working on with food box distribution, where we're trying to set up a single system that all NGOs could use, so that we can see clearly transparency, what's going on and who's doing the right job and who's not doing the right job, to pinpoint to whom to work with, and to assure that every single dollar that is spent by a benefactor is going into the right place, to the right people. So I think this is the opportunity of Lebanon today, after this disaster that we've been through, for us to understand that we have to work, all of us, hand in hand, and see who are the ones that are working the right ways. And then if family offices would like to help, and it's in that direction that they would have to help. But again, as Ricardo said, it's not just a matter of just giving food boxes. It's a matter of creating a complete ecosystem where people are going to have a sustainable way of moving forward. And that's what we are looking for. I mean, in the food box that we're mentioning, most of the goods inside are imported stuff. What we were doing before the explosion, our entire focus was to go to cooperatives, to different NGOs all around Lebanon, who are teaching people how to process food in order to come up with a common type of food, so that we could put these in boxes and then distribute them. So we're trying to create those mechanisms of sustainable economies, from small scale to big scale. And I think this is what we have to focus on, actually, just because we're restarting an economy. But going back to your main question, we are standing our ground in Lebanon, and we are going to build this country, and we are going to make this country a place to live happily in. That's my personal say on that.
No, it's coming across very, very clear, and I think that's a really important message. And again, self-sufficiency is something that has been coming up again and again as governments start to look at where the gaps are, because coronavirus itself has really exposed the gaps in supply chains and where countries aren't self-sufficient. So that is definitely a theme.
Sorry for interrupting. I think we should use the word, as Trump said, the Chinese virus, not the coronavirus.
Apologies. My mistake. And so we've definitely already touched on this a lot through this conversation, but my last point was about the actions family offices can take to help locals and the extent of their responsibility to do so. Now, I know that we've covered that in various different ways throughout this, but if you could sum up your thoughts on that, that would be really helpful. So Hagop, do you want to go first?
Well, I think any kind of help that would be given, be it on financial or in kind help, just to come up across this few days. We have a very big need, by the way, of medical supplies. I have a couple of friends that own hospitals, and I can assure you that I spoke with them on the same night of the night of the explosion. Now, what happened is that 4 hospitals were completely devastated, and the patients of those hospitals had to be relocated into other hospitals, obviously, because they are patient and they are sick, they are being treated, that's why they are in hospitals. Then you had the thousands of people that got hit, that had scattered glass in their faces and so on, and the critical cases and all of these things. And those people were reaching hospitals that were a bit away from the explosion center. And those hospitals that were receiving people from the other hospitals, plus the thousands of sick people, they simply ran out of stitching wire, because actually the economical situation of Lebanon was so bad before the explosion that the stocks of the hospitals were low. And now we had suddenly thousands of people to stitch. Stitching wire, the most basic thing that you should be able to find in a pharmacy, sometimes at homes, but certainly in stocks of hospitals. Hospitals ran out of it. So we have big needs of medical support. We have needs of food. Now everybody's trying to help. People are cooking at home. They're taking their food to the ground. But that's That's the short term. That's the very short term. However, if you think about next week and the week after, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of needs, be it on a humanitarian level, on the basics, on the medical supplies. So that would be the first thing. Financial help would be more than great. But what I think that should be done is how the family offices would look into investing in Lebanon and helping the economical system of Lebanon on the medium and long term. You know, this is what I think would be the main ideas that I would think of.
I will. So I split it in three: immediate, medium term, and long term. In the immediate, I believe we are in need for aid, humanitarian aid, food supplies, medical aid, and we are through NGOs trying to assess what are the necessary goods that we need, so that we communicate and we try to get them. So this is, of course, all this can be translated into money. If you don't have band-aids to send, you spend money, you buy band-aids. So immediately it is aid. In the medium term, I would see it as outsourcing to the Lebanese companies, so that they can have jobs, so that they can have businesses running and maintain the employment, so that we do not add onto the catastrophe by the multiplying closure of companies, and therefore increasing the unemployment, which will eventually need more help and more aid. So by outsourcing to Lebanese companies, we will be helping them to get through this difficult stage that we are in, and keep their employees and keep paying salaries. And there are platforms that are being developed on this through professional associations and professional organizations. I can share them with you if you want after this webinar. We are developing websites where you can select Lebanese company by sector and outsource to them. On the longer term, family offices can invest in Lebanon because it will be hopefully a new virgin, a territory that needs a lot in all sectors. Plus, the infrastructure will be a healthy infrastructure where your investment can be a growing investment. So immediately aid, medium term outsourcing, longer term investment. And the channels that can be used in order not to go through the traditional, unfortunately, untrusted channels. We have associations like the Family Business Network, which I am vice chairman, Family Business Network Levant. Agop is president of the Rotary Club in Beirut. So the Rotary Association is an international association trusted. There are really NGOs with proven track records that are on the ground and that have also proven international relations. I can name two who work with the people. There is Essentiel, who have always had, it is a social corporate company. So they've always helped the disabled, and they built up through the years a trusted network. And the second one that I can name is Offre Joie, who helps also people directly. So we can direct you to channels.
I just want to add one point, sorry, before giving the word to Faris, because he didn't say about this. Adding on the NGOs that Ricardo is saying, there are hundreds of NGOs that are out there that are registered, that we've been working with, distributing food boxes before this event happens in all around Lebanon. What is very interesting is the way we are choosing the NGOs that we are working with is that we have implemented a digital platform using a standard mobile phone. On the regular mobile phone, we've set up certain workflows that they have to do while distributing the food boxes so that we can get this transparency. And what we saw is that the NGOs that have really a good will to work, whenever you ask them to implement a new method of work, which is something that's going to give you transparency. This is a pure definition of governance. They are applying it. And these are the NGOs that should be helped, because when you tell them, okay, listen guys, we want to help you, but there is a method of work you're going to do to prove us transparency, to prove us your efficiency. So when you have NGOs that are willing to do so, then I think you have the right people to help, because you have people that are willing to comply with any support method. This is just to add on what Ricardo was saying. Faris, to you.
My opinion is that you have lots of small NGOs also that need help, but that are not visible and that are facing problems getting funds. And this is where my role is coming with a couple of people, where we gathered a couple of NGOs, like 5 NGOs, small ones, and we raised funds for them, and we were helping them getting the funds needed to help. So this is important also to help the small ones, not only the big ones. And this is where my role comes.
Well, the small ones before the explosion that were handling 20 families are handling now 180. And I just had a few phone calls right before getting on the Zoom. And one of the NGOs I was talking to, they had 20 before the explosion. Now they have 180 names, and they're adding up, because everybody, especially the NGOs that are located in devastated areas, everybody's trying to see who to help. So it's a word to mouth thing. It's a word to ear thing, mouth to ear, sorry. So people speak and they say, oh, there's this guy, and they go and so on. What we need to do is try to help them organize themselves in kind of a unique platform that everybody shares, so that we can move forward in a full governance. The NGOs that Faris is mentioning, for example, could be using the same methods that the big NGOs are using, because at the end of the day, it's the persons that are the people that are on the ground. We're just telling them, you have to use this method. It's like doing an ISO certification for them and telling them, there you go, run. And everybody can do it. And then then we can have clear accountability, and then we can get rid of this repute of Lebanese that Muhammad always throw at us.
I can give you a sneak peek. Next week we are still negotiating, but fine tuning, I would say. We are organizing a telethon, hopefully next Saturday, Saturday 15. The two major business associations in Lebanon, IRADA and RDCL, put hands together, and with the LBCI, which is one of the major media locally and internationally, we are organizing a telethon to collect funds. And we have, of course, a system of full transparency. Can you hear me? Because I think there's a bit of noise there.
No worries.
We have established a system of full transparency where every donation will be immediately audited. We'll have auditors and controllers present, and of course everything will be on the board. So this is planned. Tomorrow we will have the final date, but planned for Saturday 15. So this also could be a motivator for family offices if they have the will to donate anything. It might give a push for this initiative, because when you see people giving, you have tendency to be encouraged to give more. So I will invite, and I will let Muhammad know of the details when tomorrow after our meeting we will finalize the date and time and all the procedures. And for this we have chosen 4 pillars by priority. The first being healthcare, because we have 4 hospitals in the Beirut area which are completely destroyed, and these are, I can say, catastrophic in such circumstances, especially with the COVID. And we should never forget also that we have the normal other sicknesses. One of them yesterday was complaining that they have 50 children who they treat for cancer, and they need to get the regular treatment, so they are trying to channel them to other hospitals which do not have the capacity. So we chose healthcare. Second, we chose the general public to repair the houses, the buildings, so that the 300,000 homeless today due to the explosion can regain their houses through trusted associations. Third is education, because Lebanon is and the Lebanese are very attached to the education. We have a lot of schools who are destroyed. We need to rebuild them so that they can, we do not interrupt the education process in the country. And the fourth one is the media, because media is symbolic in Lebanon, and we are one of the few countries in the area which have a free speech and has always been growing on the media factor. And there is one major Al-Nahar newspaper building, which is, in my opinion, total loss and needs a lot of help. So we are going to try to help them with other important media which are damaged, but we don't know of yet.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Faris. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Hago,
Hamad.
for your time. I really appreciate your participation. And yeah.
Thank you, Muhammad, for organizing.
Back.
Thank you very much. It is for us to thank you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for thinking of voicing out Lebanon's catastrophe. From the bottom of my heart and from all my colleagues and all the Lebanese population, I would say we love you. And I will end with one thing that I just saw on my helmet. We are people who never stop dreaming. So we never stop dreaming, and with your kindness, we will make this dream happen. So thank you so much.